Apologies for being late. I was in Tallahassee for the weekend and we spent all day today driving, literally all day. I watched the entire race in the car. And I just got home. It's 9:50. So I literally just got home and now we are recording. So I apologize for it being late, but today was the start of the NASCAR playoffs at Atlanta, and man, was it a fascinating race. I don't know about you guys. I wasn't on Twitter the entire day since I was, watching the race on my phone. So I didn't look on Twitter. I don't know what the race perception was all about. This is just going to be my honest opinion about the race. I thought today's race was fascinating, mainly because when it was sunny and hot and the track was hot and handling mattered, this was a throwback race in my opinion. This race was 100% a throwback race to where the handling truly mattered at a plate race, and that's what Atlanta is. Atlanta is a plate race, so I will compare Atlanta to Daytona and Talladega, even though it is its own different thing. It is different. It's very unique in the way that it races, but it actually gave us kind of like a nostalgia trip, honestly, to what the early to mid 2000s plate racing was kind of like. I mean, we had people really not able to run side by side because the handling was so important, the air being maneuvered around the place. And if you had a good handling race car, it looked like the Chevys had really good handling race cars, because in the long run it didn't matter if you had Ford teammates or Ford horsepower. You could just drive your way up through the field if you wanted to, if you had a good handling race car. That was very nice to see. And even though it wasn't the three wide craziness that you would assume of a Daytona and Talladega, it was, in my opinion, even more fun to watch in the first two stages of a plate race. Just comers and goers, like people that were leading the race really well. And to be fair, there weren't really any goers. The guys who led, they led. But there were guys throughout the field. I mean, Martin Truex Jr. multiple times had to come from the back and try to go up through the middle of the field. He just kind of stalled out towards the front, and that's because I think the Toyotas definitely were pretty weak today, in my opinion, except for, let's say, Ty Gibbs. But if you were someone like Austin Cindric, who we kind of joked about last week, saying, hey, Atlanta, Watkins Glen, you got to do well at these two racetracks. Well, Austin Cindric did everything he was supposed to do today in the stage parts, in the stage racing aspect, to get as many points as he can, and he put himself in great position in the point standings when we get to that in a second. And then we had obviously the one major surprise of the day. There's always one guy that is going to get not screwed, but someone that is a favorite for the championship will have some issues in the race, and they will end up, putting themselves in a hole. And today that was Kyle Larson, who wrecks in 1 and 2. Again, I haven't been on Twitter, so I can't tell. Honestly, to me, it didn't look like he had a flat tire. It looked like the way this car is, you just kind of get loose, and it looks like he just got loose, but it happened in a part of the corner where it's not like he's getting back on the throttle. So he could have had a flat tire. He genuinely could have had like a leak in the right rear, the left rear, and that's what caused him to overcorrect, like gets loose and overcorrects. Or it could have just been the air doing something really weird and just, shoving his car around. It could be either one, to be honest. They'll have to look, at the data to see, did a tire go down or was a tire leaking at that point. But he overcorrects into the wall, and then Briscoe later on, while they're wrecking, a lot of guys right behind Larson did a really good job to avoid it, because it came out of nowhere. It was literally like an RKO out of nowhere. He just crashed, and it happened so quick and so violently that the guys around him really had to react very, very quickly. Briscoe, there was a lot of smoke. He couldn't really see very well, and Briscoe, Larson's kind of sliding down the track. Briscoe hits him. So Chase Briscoe, who was one of my picks to get through, because I thought he would have a good race at Atlanta and a good race at Watkins Glen. Well, this just shows you how random it can be. Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, two guys that have kind of underperformed all year, but both guys are good at plate racing, and they're both pretty good at road course racing. So, all right, which one is going to have a good day? Which one's going to have a bad day? Austin Cindric has the good day. He's like over plus 20 on the cut line. Briscoe has the bad day, and he's in the drop zone by a lot of points. I think he's actually last in the points, to be honest. So, yeah, that's not, very unfortunate, those guys, but very unfortunate for Larson as well. However, Larson with the gap, I mean, he's not even on the cutoff line. I think he's still a little bit above the cutoff line. So, as long as Larson just top 15 the next two races, he's fine. So, but your last place finish, your DNF. If I was a championship contender, if you told me like, hey, you have to have bad luck in one race. This, pick a race. I'm picking round 1, man. It's the round of 16. Get all the bad juju out of the way. The thing with Kyle Larson is Kyle Larson does wreck more than most, let's say, best drivers. Let's just be honest with each other here. Kyle Larson does wreck more than the greatest drivers of all time. And I think you and me and a lot of NASCAR fans and everyone, we classify Larson as that top of the top. He's up there, in the eras. There are certain drivers that dominate certain eras, and Kyle Larson is the driver of his era in terms of talent. And he does crash a lot. And look, I've always said his super speedway racing is a little bit of a weakness, and it's because he usually crashes a lot. Again, I don't know if that tire was flat or not, and maybe it is just bad luck, but he does crash a lot. That was the main incident of stage 1, and that ended stage 1. And you have guys, the normal contenders we were thinking about. Ryan Blaney, right? We're thinking Penske Racing, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano's up there, but Austin Cindric is the guy that took advantage of the stage points. I think he got 19 in total. I think it was winning stage 1. I think he finished second in stage 2, if I'm not sure. Him and Blaney, I think, kind of reversed first and second, but I'm not entirely sure. But I both know they both got top 3s in both stages. And so, Blaney, who's already pretty good on points, but Austin Cindric, that is what he needed. So congratulations to Austin Cindric, because he did very well. Now you have a plus 20 gap, entering the next 2 races. You gotta make sure you advance, buddy. I don't want any excuses, okay? You're in that Penske Racing. But stage 2 was the fascinating stage for me. So stage 2 was 100 laps, I think it was. And while I was watching this, what was fascinating about it, is that it was really hard to get track position. But if you wanted to, you could take some risks, and if your car was good enough, you could move through the field. Eric Jones was using this third line. He was just kind of, overdriving the entry of the corner, letting the car slide up by the wall as if you were at Darlington, and he would just get to the quarter panel of the guy in the second lane and start making passes. And he was able to get to like the third car in the outside lane before the top 2 and top 3 were like, wait, stop doing that. And they would kind of like block it off. But it was nice to see that. And it was just nice to see plate racing where I can easily see the drivers having a lot of control over it. And a lot of times when you go to Daytona and Talladega, yes, drivers, of course, they have control over it, but it's either, fuel mileage game, or it's just you pick one of the lanes and one of the lanes don't go, and then you're kind of just stuck in this weird traffic jam. Whereas in Atlanta, I didn't think it was like a traffic jam. I thought if you wanted to go somewhere, you could. If you wanted to get a certain run on someone, you can. Of course, making the passes in the top 10 were a lot more. I think there was a portion of stage 2 where for like an entire full screen run before like NBC went to side by side, I don't think the order changed at all. It was Austin Cindric leading, and it was side by side for like 5 rows deep, and then it was like Eric Jones and Stenhouse doing their little like, top lane thing, and nothing changed. Like the order didn't change. No one was making a move. And yeah, that could be a little bit boring. I understand that, but it just felt like an old school plate race to me. So I was kind of fascinated by it all and seeing like, okay, when these guys really start pushing, when they really start taking risks, what is it also going to look like? And we saw that in stage 3 where it was kind of the same thing, but it was just more aggressive, but it wasn't chaotic. I don't know. I really like this plate race, this plate race at Atlanta, because it didn't feel as random as Daytona and Talladega, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like it was random. I didn't feel like this was the wild card. Like, you genuinely had a chance to control your own destiny and kind of control your fate. And I think everyone that finished where they did kind of deserved where they, finished. Like, there was nothing random about this. Everyone kind of got where they were supposed to finish, and I just really like that. Of course, I would have liked to seen not in overtime, to be honest. I'm getting kind of sick and tired of overtimes, but that does happen. There was a crash involving Chris Buescher. Ryan Blaney got involved in it. Martin Truex Jr. basically got knocked out of the race because of it. And again, that's another one of my picks where I said, all right, Truex is going to get going. Well, I need him to really pick it up at I need road course ace Martin Truex Jr. to pick it up at Watkins Glen and help me out. And then his Gibbs team can provide him a good car at Bristol to help him advance. I need that to happen. But, Ryan Blaney got involved in this, and I was like, ooh, that's a little bit tough. Well, no, they just put some duct tape on the entire left side of Ryan Blaney, and he shot right back up there. And again, he was one of the faster cars in the field. He was that Penske Ford, of course. But this is the end of the race. Everyone's trying to, not give up any space, and he was able to drive his way up through the field. There's a driver we haven't talked about yet today, which I know is very, apparently Kyle Petty went in on him. Denny Hamlin. Now, I'm obviously not going to be critical on Denny Hamlin today. I don't know why I said obviously. I'm not going to be critical on Denny Hamlin. I'm going to give you guys the reasons why. Ryan Blaney is in a Penske. Ryan Blaney is in a Ford. The Fords, Penske, really strong at plate racing. The Toyotas in the next gen era, specifically Denny Hamlin, the car has not been there. And don't tell me, oh, Denny Hamlin can't plate race. Denny Hamlin is one of the best plate racers of our era. He's won how many Daytona 500s now? 3 Daytona 500s. He has competed for multiple wins at Daytona, multiple wins at Talladega. It's not him. He is a good plate racer. Trust me, I know that. But Gibbs as a whole, as an organization, have not been strong in the next gen era. But even in technically kind of the Gen 6 era as well, other than Denny Hamlin, Gibbs has never been, and it's because they don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers to compete with the Fords and the Chevys. And so, in qualifying, Denny Hamlin has this spark plug issue, and he's like 2 seconds off the pace. And so, Joe Gibbs Racing, TRD, they see that kind of same issue with Truex and Gibbs, I think it was. So, they go ahead, they change all the wire plugs, and they all start at the back. Okay, so Denny Hamlin's running at the back. He immediately doesn't feel comfortable with his race car. And the first stage is where that's the stage where everyone got spread out, because everyone's like, oh, damn, the handling really matters. Well, not only is the Toyotas and Denny Hamlin slower than the Chevys and the Fords, just off of overall raw pace. And Martin Truex Jr. said the same thing on his radio. He just said, the car handles bad and I'm slow. It's not supposed to be both. It's not supposed to be slow, and it's not supposed to be bad as well in terms of handling. If you have more downforce in the car or somewhat, if you don't trim out the car, then technically your car should handle better, but it would just be a little bit slower. But Truex was complaining that no, this car drives like crap and it's slow. So I'm expecting that kind of the same thing among all the Toyotas. Tyler Reddick, where did we see him today? He was mired, stuck. He couldn't get up through the field. Bubba Wallace, stuck. Couldn't get, well, again, these are good plate racers. Couldn't get up through the field. Only Ty Gibbs. He's the only one who, by the way, had fresher tires, more fuel. He was able to get his way up through the field and get up to battle for the win. But even then, when at the end of the race, Ty Gibbs, he fell back a little bit. The Toyotas were not strong. So if I'm Denny Hamlin, right? If I'm Denny Hamlin, this is a chaotic race. I'm not comfortable in my race car, and it's just not feeling right. I don't see the problem with him just sacrificing stage 1 and stage 2. Yes, you're not getting any stage points. I understand you need the stage points. But for him, he probably knows, and his team most likely knows, we don't got the race car to go and finish 5th in a stage. I'm going to go risk everything for 2 points, like maybe 8th place, 9th place, 10th place, 2, 1, 1 point in a stage. Like, no, that's not worth it. So you're kind of just hoping at maybe they do wreck. I don't see a problem with that. Now, obviously, towards the end of the race, he kind of continues staying back. I don't think it's because he really wanted to. I think it's just he did not have a good handling race car all day. And when the track got a little bit shaded and 1 and 2 and everything, people are able to go more full throttle through the corners, his car was slow. We know the Toyotas were slow. So it's like, I don't really know what you wanted him to do. I feel like the criticism on Hamlin is odd, to be honest. I really don't understand it. We have seen in all of NASCAR history, the sandbagging tactic, the stay in the back tactic and wait for people to crash. And yeah, it didn't really happen today. We know that. The big one did not happen today. I don't even classify the wreck at the end of this race as a big one. It didn't happen. But that's just because it didn't happen doesn't mean you should, oh, it's Denny Hamlin's fault for doing this. I don't think so. Listen, he's still 2 points above the cut line, and it was just a bad overall weekend for them. It is what it is. Like, it's more of a thing where Gibbs are going to have to kind of get their act together on the plate races, whether it's making an alliance agreement with Chevy or something to try and combat the Fords, because the Fords are so strong. They need numbers. And so when Talladega comes around in the round of, what is it now? Round of 12 is Talladega in still? I think next season's the round of 8. You need help. Like, you need stage points and stuff. That's where I'm going to be more worried for, Denny Hamlin and if Gibbs makes it and all the other guys that are in the playoffs for Toyota. You got to be a little bit more worried for that. So that's just my opinion on the Denny Hamlin thing. I don't understand the hate on it. I thought it was a decent tactic. If your car sucks, like, what are you supposed to do? I'm just going to go run in 20th in the middle of the pack and just say, I'm going to try my best with a slow-ass race car. No, I'm not going to run in the middle of the pack. Why would I do that? There's going to be a crash in front of me, a crash right around me. Like, I can easily get involved. So, yeah, no, I don't agree with that either. The end of this race comes down to a lot of the fast guys. You know, Daniel Suarez had a really good run. Ty Gibbs getting the one Toyota up there. Kyle Busch, again, constantly being up there. William Byron kind of showed some life again. The plate race, William Byron obviously won Daytona. He was showing some life. He was trying to lead that outside lane towards the end of this race. But at the end of the day, Penske, Ford, Penske, Ford, Penske, Ford. It's all about the Fords. Even surrounded by Chevys, you had Suarez, you had Ross Chastain, you had Chase Elliott, you had Alex Bowman, you had, I think even Justin Haley was up there, you had William Byron, surrounded by Chevys, and you have the lone Toyota of Ty Gibbs, and you have Kyle Busch as well in a Chevy. Ford, Ford, Ford. They are the best at these plate races, and it is just because they have, they're able to trim out their race cars. They have the, you know, basically the fastest overall raw speed. But most importantly, very, very, very most importantly, I've been saying this for years, and you guys know this as well, the front bumper of the Ford is perfect for plate racing. It means you can hit the rear end of any car. It doesn't, it could be a Chevy, Toyota, whatever, and you can slam draft. You can be extremely aggressive. That's the one thing the Chevys can't do, as well the Toyotas don't have the numbers to do. They can't do it. The Ford is the only manufacturer where you can genuinely, if you have, again, two plate racers just as great as Logano and Ryan Blaney are, Logano could drag the brake a little bit, Blaney could hook on and just give a constant push. And no matter what happens, even if Blaney gets a push from behind, it's not going to unhook the car in front of them because the front bumper of the Ford is smooth. There's no angles, no indents. It's just smooth. It's just a smooth front bumper. And so it glides along the rear bumper of the next gen car, and you're able to shove the guy in front of you, even if you get out of shape, even if you have 10 miles per hour more. I think there were 2 laps to go. There was a slam draft from Ryan Blaney to Joey Logano on the high side, and it doesn't bother Logano's car. It like he just gets a nice catapult forward. It is so hard to beat the Fords at these plate races for that exact reason. So shout out to Ford for designing their race car, because it is like basically almost unbeatable at these plate races. You need everything to go your way to get the Fords out of the way if you want to win. So Joey Logano ends up winning the first race at Atlanta. It's truly not a surprise, and congratulations to him. But let's go to the race results. Joey Logano gets in first with Daniel Suarez in second. A very, very much needed good run for him. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Austin Cindric rounding out the top 10. And like I said, this is not a random running order. This is everyone here deserved to be here. These guys were, you know, Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick, they literally were not running that great all day long, but they were able to finish in the best basic and the best possible position. So they got 4th and 6th. Alex Bowman needed a good run today. He got it. Daniel Suarez needed a good run today. He got it. You know, Chase Elliott, I felt like needed a good run today. He got it. William Byron has been struggling. He got the good run. And Austin Cindric, even though he finished 10th, he got a ton of stage points. So he got exactly what he needed. Hemrick, Haley, Chastain, Stenhouse, LaJoy, Hocevar, Gibbs, Priest, Keselowski, and Dillon round out the top 20. And then we have to go to the playoff standings. Now, the good news about doing this 4 hours late is that the playoff standings are updated. You have Logano advancing with Ryan Blaney plus 45, Bell plus 40, Reddick plus 33, Byron plus 33, Bowman plus 27, Austin Cindric plus 27. Very important for him. Plus 24, Chase Elliott. Daniel Suarez, big for him, plus 22. Kyle Larson, finishing last, DNF, no stage points, doesn't matter. Still plus 15. That's what happens when you're dominant. Still plus 15. So I still bet he still goes through. Denny Hamlin plus 2 with his bad day. Ty Gibbs plus 1 because I actually don't really know what happened to Ty Gibbs, to be honest. He fell back very quickly. I saw he finished, 17th? I don't know what happened to him. That was kind of weird to see because he was literally fighting for the lead. I know he fell back with like 2 to go. But it finished 17th. He must have got caught up in that wreck, I think it was, with Chastain and everyone up there. Brad Keselowski's 1 point back. Harrison Burton involved in a crash along with Truex. They are 16, 19. Briscoe 21 back. No one here is in my opinion, done. The problem for the guys like Harrison Burton, Truex, and Briscoe, here's the problem, is that you're not 16, 19, and 21 back of Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric, who we would assume, or even Alex Bowman, who we would assume they might run a little bit worse. No, you're behind Ty Gibbs in a JGR car, who I feel like is going to run really well and is a very good road racer. But then the bigger problem is that gap is to Denny Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin has a lot of speed. And so it's going to be very difficult to make up that points gap on those two JGR guys. And then the next guy in the points is Kyle freaking Larson. So it's not the 16 and the 19 point gap. The bigger issue is the 22 to Suarez, the 27 to Cindric, the 27 to Bowman. That's the problem for those guys. So it's going to be tough for them. It will be tough. They're not eliminated, but it's going to be very tough for them. I'm going to try and get this video out to you guys as quick as possible. Let me know what you thought of Atlanta. I thought it was a fantastic race. It kind of an old school style plate race. I had a lot of fun with it. And the playoff standings are kind of set now, heading into what is not a random race. It is Watkins Glen. Qualifying is going to be massively important because you are not going to be able to pass. So let's see who comes up with the most speed. If you qualify up front, and of course, you know, there is one thing here, is that the stage points. Will people sacrifice the stage points? You really cannot pass in this next gen car, so it's going to be very fascinating to see. Are you going to take the stage points if you're going up front and then put yourself in 30th? Like, that's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a tough. I don't want to be in the crew chief's position, to be honest, to make that call. Take care of yourselves. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get this out to you guys as quick as possible. Make sure you guys follow. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoy the video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. Peace out.